planning. There you go, whenever you're ready.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Alexandria Lynn, and I want to talk to you about how fitness has a significantly positive effect on mental health. So the first point I want to make is that how the actual process happens in our minds, like how in our brains, in our brains. So what happens is when you exercise, it triggers the production of endorphins. Endorphins are natural opiates that are chemically similar to morphine. They are produced as natural pain relievers in the response to the shock that happens when our body exercises. So a lot of the times, you're exercising and you start to feel like that little burn, but you kind of have to keep going. That's when your body actually produces those endorphins. And it's kind of like its natural way of kind of relieving that pain. The second point is that exercise is useful in treating depression and anxiety. So a lot of the times, people who are depressed, they have a lot of trouble having a lot of confidence, and they're not really too happy about themselves. So the more you exercise, the better your body looks. That's just fact. You start to exercise more, you start to tone up, you lose weight, and I think the better you look, the better you feel about yourself. You gain more confidence. So this really is a good thing for people who are depressed. They need that extra confidence. Exercise has also been found to increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF. This substance is thought to improve mood, and it may play a role in beneficial effects of exercise. Also, exercise increases the serotonin and dopamine levels and norepinephrine levels. These are neurotransmitters and that have been associated with elevated mood. And it is thought to have antidepressant medication also boosts these chemicals. So the whole point of taking antidepressants is to boost your mood and to boost these neurotransmitters. But if you're exercising, you keep a constant rate of this exercise, you'll actually naturally boost these levels. My third point is that exercise is an acceptable substitute for antidepressants. Like I said before, exercise has antidepressant properties. A lot of the times people who are depressed have problems with the levels of serotonin and dopamine. Their brain doesn't really work the same way as a lot of people works. They have these lower levels. So they talk to a psychiatrist and they have to be put on these medications, but what can actually naturally help is just exercise. Right now, 11% of all Americans aged 12 and older are currently taking SSRI antidepressants. These are highly controversial mood-altering psychiatric drugs with the FDA's suicidality warning label on them. So a lot of the times people take these antidepressants and they think they're going to get better, but it kind of does like an opposite effect, which is, that's not good. So this was actually a study done in Harvard Medical School. They actually published it a couple of years ago, but it was on their website. This was done in 1999, and it was the Archives of Internal Medicine. There was 156 men and women with depression, and they were put into 3 groups. One group took part of aerobic exercise program, and the other took part of an SSRI aerobic exercise program. And then another SSRI is, by the way, it's acetylcholine. It's Zoloft. That's what it's the medication Zoloft that's used to treat antidepressant or depression. And then the third group actually took, they did both. So they did exercise and they took the Zoloft. At the 16-week mark, depression had eased in all 3 groups. And the highest correlation was 60 to 70% of people in all 3 groups could no longer be classed as having major depression. The major correlation was that the people who were doing exercise actually did better with their mood improvements and their depression. They were no longer classified as having major depression. They were just depressed, but then later they actually, with more exercise, they actually were able to treat their depression. So this study actually is another proof it's proof that you could use exercise as an acceptable substitute to antidepressants. I hope that with all this information, you're persuaded to exercise more, or if you're actually feeling stressed, you have midterms, just go out for a run or hit the gym after class or something. It actually really helps with stress. And I hope that you guys are able to see that exercise does have a good effect on mental health. Thank you.
5:26.
Thank you.
Extra 4 seconds.
All right, Alex. You have a point at the beginning that is your propositional statement, but the way it's phrased, it sounds like a passive question rather than a declarative sentence. And you want to be much more assertive in telling us what your point of view on this is. I didn't really hear a layout of what the secondary points were going to be, so there needs to be more of a preview. I'm not sure that there's a lot of controversy on some of these issues. It sounds like you were describing a phenomena that occurs when people exercise, and I don't know that anybody denies that phenomena. So it might be useful in a persuasive presentation to convince people to exercise more, but if the dispute, when we're having an argument and the dispute is about whether or not this is true, I'm not sure that there's, like I said, controversy on that particular point. You did a little bit better job internally on the speech organizing, because I did hear some signposts as you were presenting information. They're labeled pretty clearly. All of the information on the first and second point sounds like it's all hypothetical data. I don't really get any source citations until the third point, and on the third point I only get the one, which is a brief reference to a study that is 14 years old, done at Harvard University. So again, I think you need a lot more research information in the presentation. Now, there may be research that you used in the presentation, but it didn't get inserted in the presentation the way we talked about doing it, with the source citations and with direct quotes. Even the one study that you cite, it sounds like you're paraphrasing the results, and at the end, when you, for instance, do the comparison between the different groups, the only thing that I get is, well, the group that did the exercise, they're the ones that did the best. But I don't know how much better they did, whether it was longer lasting. I don't know if the authors of the text of the study reached a particular conclusion about whether or not we can forego the use of other antidepressants as a way of treating depression by just prescribing exercise only. That would have been a good conclusion to quote, and that would have given you some authority to go along with that particular point. You do a pretty good job talking to the audience. Occasionally, you're kind of caught up in your notes. Like I said, it sounds a little bit like a persuasive speech more than an argument, and you can probably lose the pen. You don't need a baton while you're speaking. You can get that out of your hands. That's a distraction. All right. Thank you.